Good morning, everyone, and welcome to episode 9 of the RDO Podcast. As always, I'm Jason Von Cannell. This is my brother Alex Von Cannell.
This is a hungover Jason Von Cannell.
Oh, mate, this is second day hangover, Jason Von Cannell.
Because you're an old dad now.
Yeah, and I feel every second of my age at the moment, and yesterday was probably the worst hangover I've had in my entire life.
I must be clairvoyant because when you told me that you were going to go out and you spoke about in the pod that there was going to be 1 week,
so
one
it
day
was my ish night.
Yeah. And you said to me in the same breath, "Oh, can we do the pod early the next day because I've got some things on and blah blah blah."
Yeah.
And I said, "It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen." And then I got a text, "It's not happening." I knew it wasn't going to happen.
Oh, mate, it was a big night. It was a very, very big night. The best night though. Caught up with. Literally saw someone I'd not seen for 15 years, and she's the exact same person, and it was awesome. Such a good time. It was like me hanging out with my favourite people from high school. There was a few people missing, but it was really, really good.
That's what I really enjoy about, especially when you assemble that crew, because there's no outside influence. You just revert straight back to school times.
Yeah, 100%. And just like school times, I drank way too much and passed out on the couch.
Yeah, you've always had a problem with pace. Pace yourself.
Yeah. But so now I'm obviously 100% back on the sober wagon, which is probably good to go that hard because I don't feel the need to drink again for a long time.
Have you weighed yourself recently?
Yep, had a weigh in this morning, 105.5. So I'm down 2 kilos and it's the 11th today.
So I haven't weighed myself, but I tried a very different technique, which was there is a particular brand of kombucha that Aldi sells, and it comes in a 700ml bottle, and which looked like 2 glasses to me, so I finished the whole lot.
Right.
And if you're tired of your beehole making the poos, and you want to switch it around, and you just want your beehole to make the peas, drink a bottle of that. I feel empty. I literally was mid-conversation and I had to run to the bathroom. It was that bad. Delicious stuff.
Yeah.
I'll take a photo of it during the week and we'll post it up on the page just so you know.
Kombucha.
Yeah.
It's
savage. It is savage.
I've never been affected like that from kombucha.
Oh no, we'll buy a bottle before you go and you can take it and you can drink it on the way home and see what happens.
And see if I make it.
And see what happens.
Oh, mate. So with the whole weight loss challenge thing, it's been a little bit tough this week because Nate's been so sick. So that poor kid, he's had a bit of a roller coaster. So we got tonsillitis. Well, he had conjunctivitis last Friday, which is really annoying him. So he wasn't sleeping well. And then on Saturday night, just like wouldn't sleep. He was just like inconsolable through the night, and we just assumed it was his conjunctivitis annoying him.
Yep.
But anyway, so we've taken him back to the doctors again on Sunday, and they're like, no, he's got tonsillitis. And then because obviously tonsillitis, his throat's been really sore, so he didn't want to eat anything, so he was just poor kid. So we did a Monday night trip to the emergency room, so we're worried about him getting dehydrated. It's been a really, really tough week for him. He's so much better today, which is really good.
Did you use the technique that I came up with to hydrate him if he wasn't going to drink?
What, just
beer bong
it? No, didn't have to. But they talked about that at the hospital. That's like an actual option where they just basically jam a pipe down their throat and just pump liquids in. But obviously with babies, they will avoid that for as long as they possibly can because it's so.
And will they use beer?
I reckon they should.
Yeah.
You know, like marathon runners and stuff. Sometimes
obviously start them on light.
Yeah.
Light beers, yeah. 4X gold maybe.
Yeah, that's a bit strong technically.
Oh, is it? And you wouldn't want to get them on something expensive early on, otherwise they're going to be very expensive.
Yeah, they'll get hooked on the expensive stuff.
Yeah.
But can we not talk about booze? Because I'm not. I'm not there yet.
Something I want to talk about. We've had some really good feedback from people who have watched the pod. And we've had some people that executed the plan that we spoke about in a previous episode.
Yeah, like literally.
So if you haven't seen it, go back and watch the other ones.
Yeah.
Because we're
So we always forget to do this. please subscribe and hit that little notification button so you get notified every single time a new episode comes up. It's really going to help us out too.
But what we're finding is that we are really developing, and there's some of our audience is developing with us, and we really like the stories that we hear. But I've noticed a bit of a contrast.
Right.
So I can think of a couple examples of people that followed the plan execution strategy to great effect.
Yeah.
So I know one person who's basically made made a role in an organisation that doesn't exist.
Yep.
And created that job for themselves, and that's amazing.
Yeah.
And another person who literally put the screws in on a negotiation and asked for ownership, part ownership of it, and got it.
Yeah.
So that's really, really cool. And they said that they got some inspiration from us, which I think is great. And that's the whole point of this pod, right?
For sure, yeah.
Is to be able to share ideas and for us to help build a bit of a framework for you. Because it's hard. When you're inside the job, it's very hard to think retrospectively or to think outside of your own viewpoint.
Yep.
So the whole idea of the pod is for us to do some of the thinking for you.
Sure. And again, please keep the feedback coming of experiences that you've had, because you're exactly right. The stuff we've been hearing has been absolutely awesome.
Now, to contrast that, I've also noticed some of the feedback where I think we've addressed some of the items, yet no action has come out of it.
Right.
Which I have to say is the biggest problem that we have. And now, I do want to talk about, is it organisational, or I suppose you can blame a whole bunch of external factors, but at the end of the day, it just comes down to what you do.
That's right. The only thing that you can control is yourself.
Yeah. So I wanted to touch on that a little bit, but I also wanted to touch on, I want to start a bit of a movement, a think big movement. Okay. I think society structure is formed in a way that we don't think big.
Yeah.
The school system, bell times, the story of bell times is mirroring factory work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So
that's what the school system was designed to get people used to the idea of going to a place every single day, doing these things, that you have the bell to get you, then you leave school and you go to the factory and you do the same thing.
So now society also is only doing what they can see, and they can see that everyone should be following this direct pathway. So that's why I think the outliers, the Elon Musks of the world, the Jeff Bezoses of the world, have such an advantage, because they don't look at it like that. They don't look at life like that. They don't look at work like that. They think big. Now, I'm not saying go out there and build a space program. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be pragmatic and realistic. I'm just trying to say, what is it that you really want to do? And have you given yourself the space to think big?
That space to think big, I think, that's the starting point, and that's something that I struggled with when I was in the motor trade, because I feel like I was so just locked in and focused on that job, I wasn't really thinking that big outside of that.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about, my general life and what else I was doing. It was I had home life and I had work life, but the work life dominated. And oftentimes when I was at home, you're on the mobile phone all the time, getting calls from work or whatever, and just dominated me. Whereas for the last 2 months since I've been out, I've had so much more time to actually have some free thought. So I think, giving yourself the opportunity to actually to step away for a little bit.
Actually, you just addressed something that I'd heard yesterday. I was listening to a podcast with Toto Wolff, who I'm kind of obsessed with at the moment. He's sort of my...
He's pretty dreamy.
Dreamboat sounds like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's from Austria. But he spoke about, he thinks in the future, if you can break that addiction of that phone addiction, the advantage that you're going to have in life to be introspective. So his anecdote was that if you look at any picture of great minds of the past, like Churchill, what are they doing? They're posing, they're thinking, they're pondering. We don't do that anymore. Society doesn't do that anymore. We don't think. So at Mercedes Formula One team, he's got a policy where if you want to put your feet up on the desk and look out the window and just think, go for it. And he said, I don't want you sitting in front of a screen, looking at a blank screen, pretending to work.
Yeah.
If you've got nothing to do, or if you want to just think.
Yeah.
So, and that was huge to me because I've had employers in the past that you weren't allowed to have a conversation with someone.
Yeah.
You can go and sit in front of your computer and waste time there. You can play solitaire on your computer, but because it looks like you're working, they were happy.
Yeah, it's the George Costanza thing. As long as you look like you're looking at a computer and you're angry, it looks like you're doing some work.
But that I always thought that was dumb. I thought, well, hold on, like in car sales, there's lots of downtime, but when the pressure's on, the pressure's on.
That's right.
And you're 100%, and you're never going to walk away from a customer interaction. If you're going to be there until 10 o'clock at night, you're going to be there till 10 o'clock at night, and there's no question about that.
Yeah.
But so there's got to be a bit of give. My philosophy was always there's got to be a little bit of give and take. So if there's nothing on, and you want to have a nothing conversation, or if you want to have research something in your own research something that's not work related, I think that's a fair.
Because giving yourself a little mental break too. Like you can't be locked in 100% on any given task ever. You just can't do it.
That's why smokers, I think, have an advantage.
Absolutely.
So taking the nicotine is a good
like a cognitive supplement.
But I think one of the big things is taking a moment and controlled breathing exercises. It's in effect, it's a worse version of a mini yoga class. So you're literally sitting out there, taking a moment to breathe.
And ironically, they probably get more fresh air too, because you actually have to go outside and do it.
Well, they get more fresh air than
get more sunshine as well too, like getting out in the sun, which is obviously really important for your health as well.
All those things. So we need to be like the guy who invents, or the person that invents the non-smokers smoko break supplement. Will be the winner.
But isn't that something that in offices has been debated about forever, if you're either a smoker or a non-smoker, where every non-smoker bitches because they're like, I work a minimum of an hour longer than all these smokers every day because they take 4 15-minute smoke breaks a day. Where's my 15 minutes?
It would be funny to see the outcomes, because what if the cognitive effects were so good that the smokers that worked 15 minutes less every day achieved more?
They actually achieved more, yeah. Well, hey, it could be.
Yeah,
could be, you never know. You have to do the study. But I think there's definitely something in that, like a 15-minute sun break.
So going back to what I was saying before, are you big enough and bold enough to take some initiative to really change the work? And are you not letting society tell you that's the way you need to do it?
Yeah.
And
again, I think, look, society's a big part of it. I think you did touch on it before, but organisationally it can be a big problem too, because when you've got these big machines, oftentimes, we mentioned it even a few podcasts ago, but like you bring people in who are fresh minds, who have fresh experiences, but then we end up just taking that person and moulding them into what we all are.
Yeah, those ideas are excellent. Yeah, just forget all them and just do it the way that we've always done it.
Yeah. It's that old thing of like, you want to hire the best people so then you can tell them how to do it, and it's so wrong. Like, you hire the best people to bring them in to have them bring in new ideas and show you how they think it should be done.
Yeah.
And then you all collectively get better.
It's funny, Tasha said to me, because we were talking about some of this stuff, and she said, I was watching this podcast and she was listening to it in the background, and she goes, you would have really enjoyed business school at uni because we talked about all those things. And what I think is so funny is that I think everybody knows the correct theory behind organisational, like effective organisation, but no one does it.
Yeah.
Because I think ego kicks in and preservation of your job kicks in, those protectionist things kick in, and you just revert back to, okay, how do I, all right, let's just whack everybody into line so that I can keep my job now. And I want a big note. I've worked myself up. I've got the badge, the manager badge.
That's something that probably irritates me more than anything in the world is the people who are in management or leadership positions who only care about themselves. If you only care about yourself, you can't be in a position where you're in charge of other people.
Yeah.
You just can't do it because you're always 100% going to give your worst to that position.
And it's okay. What I'd also say to people out there, if you're a high achiever in your field, but you are by nature, if you're a selfish person, you prefer that, like me, don't take the manager role.
Yeah. Go and do something that you're being selfish actually benefits you and
well,
your
you'll probably
organisation.
be better doing what you're doing now.
Yeah.
And if you need some additional life motivation, do something on the side. Like keep that there.
Yeah,
if
like
you need
side hustle
more,
or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So now I've always had a side or multiple side hustles going on. Only because I want to. I've always wanted to explore ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So, and look, from financially, I think you should do stuff as well to protect yourself or to build for your future.
Yeah.
And if you're only, was it Warren Buffett said that you can't rely on one source of income? Like that, and going through what we just went through is a perfect example. Like
when that changes, when that one bit of income gets either cut back or cut off
or affected in any way,
then you've got trouble.
Yes.
Just before we move on, I shared something on Facebook the other day from Simon Sinek. And it was about leadership. And it said, leadership is not about taking charge. Leadership is about taking care of the people in your charge.
Yeah, and Toto talks about it too. So I texted you his philosophy, right?
Yeah.
So he wants, again, it's all the basic stuff. I think we all know it. This is just going to be a refresher on it, but I want people to be bold enough to use it.
Yeah.
He wants to create a safe space for employees, and he wants a very open culture, and one of the philosophies I have is see it. Was it see it? Speak it. Fix it. Yeah. So if you see a problem in the organisation, feel empowered to talk to someone about it, and then feel even more empowered to actually resolve it.
Yeah.
And I've seen over the years 1,000 examples of the opposite of that. Where that's not your problem, mate. Just focus on your thing. You leave that, or that's not your job. You know, that kind of stuff.
Well, it's.
Mate, if you focus more on the stuff you're supposed to do and not that shit, you'd be doing so much better.
It's all ego stuff, right? So, like, it's interesting how all these people, like Mercedes in Formula One, is the highest performing team, like. In the world, basically, or of the sport, but it's also the highest level of the sport. And to have that sort of approach to things just shows that someone like Toto Wolff can completely pull his ego out of it and go, I want to be told when I'm doing something wrong. Yeah. Because, again, I feel like that ego thing, that's the slippery slope. And if you are in a leadership position, check your ego. Know when you're saying the anti of something just because you're not willing to even consider the idea, because that's what it all comes down to a lot of the time.
He starts every meeting with a mistake he's made.
Yeah.
So and to show vulnerability and genuine, and to show a culture of problem solving.
Yeah. I'll give you an example, and I won't go too specific with it, but about almost 12 months ago, I was in a meeting with people at my old business who all did the same role as me that I was doing at the time. And there was a new leader who was brought into that meeting. And I feel like it was a really good opportunity for that person to show that they were going to care for the people in that room. Now, the problem with these sort of group meetings and stuff like that, they're all designed so that you can actually speak up about your own individual experience, and hopefully, if you're struggling with something, maybe everyone else is struggling with the same thing.
Yeah, sharing ideas.
That's right. So there'll be certain people who don't want to share because they're too concerned about how they'll look, and they don't want to look like they don't know what they're doing. So, Anyway, they get into a certain part of the meeting, and it's like, okay, so you guys struggling with anything? No one's saying anything. So I just put my hand up and said, okay, this is a particular thing that I've come up against a few times. Has anyone got any good ideas for it? And I was trying to do that for the benefit of the group, so that everyone could not only listen to what I was struggling with, but maybe you be the first person who speaks, and then the next person goes, actually, I've been struggling with this too, because people can see that it's okay.
Sure.
Right? The response I got to that was an old school smackdown, where basically he just said I was an idiot and that's been happening forever, and if you're not good enough to handle it, then you're probably in the wrong job.
Yeah.
So what did that do? Did anyone else in the room speak about anything that they were struggling with?
Yeah, ever?
No. So the person who was brought in to be in charge of us and to take care of us showed on the first day he didn't give a shit, and he thought he was superior to all the rest of us, and we were replaceable.
And didn't have the answer for it either.
Didn't have the answer.
Yeah.
And again, that's usually the people that you get the beat down from, because they don't have the answer.
Yeah.
So because I feel like an idiot because I don't know the answer to it, I'm going to protect myself by making you look like an idiot in front of everyone else in the group. And I know that no one else is going to say a question that I don't have the answer to now.
So it's the correct way for that to be handled, because I want to give practical results. So I think the correct way would have been to say, look, that's a really good point. I know it comes up quite a bit. Has anyone in the room
100%. Start a dialogue.
Yeah.
Acknowledge the question. Acknowledge that people can have difficulties with their jobs.
Yeah.
Because if jobs were easy, everyone would do them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you acknowledge it, and you start that group discussion, and you build that trust. I said that story the other week about the new sergeant when I was a kid drinking in the park. He had that same situation where he could have gone the hard line. He could have dragged us all down to the police station, called all of our parents, could have gotten us in the shit. And that was what his role probably, by the book, would have said to do.
Yeah.
But what did he do? Built trust with us. And then we had his back forever from that point in time. This was another opportunity where he could have built trust with the people in his charge. Yeah. And he completely destroyed it on day dot. And the result went south.
I want to say to the people that are, look, if you were displaying those attitudes, you can always turn them around.
What did we say at the beginning? You can only control 100% yourself. Yeah. So, and again, don't get me wrong, I've been that guy before. I have said these things before out of insecurity. We're not perfect. The reason why we can talk on these is because I've had more losses than wins. I've made that many mistakes in my career. Whereas, again, for me, what I've really enjoyed about doing the pod is I've had 2 months to sit back and really reflect on my time and all the mistakes that I've made in the past. And hopefully by sharing some of these subjects, maybe you guys don't need to make the same mistakes that I did or that we did. You guys can just, do the right thing the first time.
It's funny you say that, because I had a young guy here, which is helping out with some car stuff, and he's in the motor trade as well. And I was trying to sort of impart some knowledge, and nothing drastic, just some investment stuff, right? Like we're talking about. So don't just rely on this source. Have something going on the side. Start building something on the side, because that's going to give you some freedom in the future, and blah blah blah. And the look that he gave me is the exact look that I would have given someone, right? If they would have told me. But at the same time, I feel like if I went to go back and talk to 21-year-old me, I'm like, you need to listen.
Yeah. Just grab him by the head. Yeah, and look, there's obviously a degree of that with everyone. But
be bold enough to be open to the idea is what I'm saying.
Yeah, 100%.
And
it's like the 15-year-old kid who thinks he knows everything, right? And you think you all of a sudden you turn 15 years old, your hormones are going crazy. And you think your parents know nothing. And it's like, your parents have been on the world for a lot longer than you have. They've had a lot of experience. They've been through everything that you've been through before. Maybe you should listen to them, but you just don't want to. And there's a maturing aspect to that as well. But I think that, staying humble and trying to listen to people. And look, we've mentioned it before. Pick the leader that you follow. So you're not going to listen to advice from anyone. if you've got someone who just happens to be older than you at work, who comes up to you and is like, oh, I think you should do this investment, that investment, but you know, they're broke, has a gambling problem, like, got no money, don't take that dude's advice.
Yeah.
Right?
Or just, or mark those, this is what I've done, is I've marked those as the do not do's.
Yeah.
Okay, I might not drink as much as that guy.
Yeah.
I might not punt on the horses as much as that guy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly right.
There's a lesson in every interaction.
For sure. Yeah, you learn something from, you know, whether it's the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do from everything.
But the thing I know I've seen a lot in my life is because I've been a thinker's not the word, but like I've always had grand ideas. I've always had grand ideas, and I've let society beat them out of me. I've let society bash my ambition out of me.
Yeah,
and it's crippling. And if I was going to talk to my younger self, if my younger self was going to listen, I would say those things that you want to have a crack at, do it. Do it now. All the every single inspirational video always says it. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
And again, it's daunting. It's massively daunting.
The problem about half those inspirational things these days is they're shared by people on social media who ain't doing shit.
But
that's half the problem.
But to a point, I'm saying it because I haven't done it either.
But you've done some stuff.
I've done some stuff, but I've only scratched the surface of some of the things that I wanted to do.
But you're only scratching the surface is miles in front of a lot of other people too. So But again, that's about having that big philosophy and thinking big, because you know you've achieved so much already, but you're still humble enough to go, I'm not even close to where I want to be.
There's some, and I'm trying to make some big plays, so I'll keep you posted on that. I'm working on some stuff as well, but when I say big, everyone's big is going to be different.
Yeah.
Okay. But don't let society's constraints, society's perception of what's right. If your parents have just worked the same jobs their whole lives, and you tell them that you've got this crazy idea, don't let them tell you no.
Yeah. Because again, their telling you no comes from their own insecurity.
Yeah.
I think.
And as a decision maker, the easiest thing to say is no. That won't work.
Yeah. Gary V talks about this all the time. His parents built confidence in him, which is the reason why he's so successful now. And he says one of the 100% biggest issues in our society these days is parents telling their kids they can't do something.
Yeah.
Because it's I'm just trying to be cautious, or I'm just trying to protect. It's that protectionism, trying to protect my child from being upset because they didn't achieve. It's like when in kids' sport they don't keep score anymore. That's bullshit.
Is that a real
that's
thing?
I
heard it, but I didn't.
That's a real thing. And I'll tell you right now, when Nate starts playing sport, if they don't keep score, Daddy's going to be keeping score. Mum will keep score too. So when Nate gets home and he loses 8-1, it's like, bro, you gotta work on your skills.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, like, there's like natural rules, right? So like if you touch a hot frying pan, it burns you, right? Like telling your kid that's not going to hurt you doesn't change the reality that if you do it, it's going to hurt you. Your kid needs to learn that lesson, right? So if you take competition out or the scoreboard off on every sport, you then completely blunt like half the point of sport.
Do you think it was a overzealous action to stop extreme characters? So because it can go, I can see the philosophy behind it in that if you didn't score enough goals that your parents beat the shit out of you, that's bad.
Yeah.
Now they're going, is the easiest way to Band-Aid fix that problem is not score it. Whereas...
Well, the problem is, like you're saying, it's like society tries to keep everyone in this lower level, right?
The lowest common denominator.
That's right.
Yeah,
so then you've literally taken two teams and you've just made them the same.
Yeah, I hate that.
Regardless of skill level.
I hate that.
I hate it too. Like there is, the entire planet is competition. The entire world is competition. It's natural selection.
The people that say that it isn't are the ones benefiting.
Absolutely. Yep. And that's the thing. Like if you don't know it's that unconscious incompetence thing. So if you don't know what you're not good at, how are you ever going to get better? So, the first step to getting better is admitting you have a problem, like the old Alcoholics Anonymous thing. So if you don't know you've got an issue, you're never going to be able to address it.
Yeah.
Why would you try to get any better? You just think you're killing it.
Yeah.
You know? You've got to be, you do have to be critical of yourself. And again, you can only control what you do.
You can only control
So you can't, it's, I feel like I've always felt a certain way. And The Matrix to me is a really good movie, really good concept. Because I've always kind of felt like we are living in two different worlds at the same time. You've got the society world, which has society's rules and customs and the way that you're supposed to behave. But there's also the natural world at the same time. And the natural world is like unconscious level of things where, you'll walk down the street and let's say that it's, 2 a.m. in the morning, you've been out on having a drink and you're walking down the street and then you've got 3 rough looking blokes who are starting to approach you. Now the society world says that this interaction should be nothing but positive because these people are part of the same society and we all want positive things and everything will be okay. But the natural part of you, the hair stands up on the back of your neck and you get ready because you're like, this is going to be an altercation or it could be an altercation. I might be in danger here. Now that applies to business too. So there are many times when it's that natural world thing which breeds that insecurity in management because they're trying to protect their own patch, right? And the easiest way to protect their own patch for a lot of people who are insecure is to make the people beneath them more insecure than they are.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm going to systematically beat you down to the point where you get subservient. It's like breaking in a horse, right? You catch a wild horse and they always talk about breaking in a horse. They're literally breaking that horse's will to fight back.
Yeah. And
then what does a horse do? Yeah, cool man, just jump on my back and I'll just carry you around.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm broken.
Yeah.
And you see that in so many organisations with bad leadership.
Well, it's by design. That's what.
Yeah, because that's where they want you. They just want you in your hole. They don't want people to really be that ambitious.
Yeah.
Because that problem is that ambition will eventually take over from you.
Here's the one that I want to break. And I said this to you when you moved out of the workforce. I want to change the terminology of work.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very adamant when I said to you, you said, oh, I might have to find a job. And I was like, no, don't find a job. Just find a way to support your family.
Yeah, to create income. That's right.
Well, I didn't say create income. I said find a way to support your family because it might not be monetary. It might not be a job. It might not be a career. There might be something else. What's the optimal way for you to look after your family? And look, society tells you should have a job.
That's right.
But if you've got an income stream that's not technically a job, if there is a, I don't know what the answer is, but I'm saying keep yourself open-minded.
And 100%. And that's the thing, like even when I was leaving, my thought process was eventually I'm going to have to just get a job. Now
just get a job.
Just get a job,
just
right?
Get a
just
job.
To have enough money to pay the bills. And then now it's like I've been removed for a long enough period where I'm like, you know what, me quitting that job was a big picture idea. Because, working to support your family, okay, that's good because you need money in this society to survive. But I can tell you right now, with Nate being so sick this week, there is no way I would have been able to go to work.
Yeah.
Like being there for him all week and being able to get up in the middle of the night for him all week.
Yeah.
That is so much more important at the moment for me. So the big picture move for me was actually to leave the workforce so I can focus on family.
For sure.
Right?
For sure. And that's not, the word should be provide, not, it doesn't have to be financial.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now on some financial news, I'm sort of happy to leave that part there, but I saw an interesting...
Just to summarise, think big.
Think big.
If you are in a leadership position, check yourself. Look yourself in the mirror now.
Be bold enough to show some weakness. Be bold enough to... and be bold enough to try and do it the way that we all know is the right way to do it.
That's right. That's exactly right. Like it's that old thing of treat people the way that you wish to be treated. So if you aren't treating your staff the way that when you were a staff member you wanted to be treated, just fix it. Like you're not a bad person.
Yeah,
we all make mistakes. Just fix it.
Yeah. So I saw a really interesting graph and a stat pop up.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously the world's in a bit of crisis, financial crisis at the moment, and there's a lot of money being thrown around. Apparently the US had 22% of its cash printed, like its total cash supply, was printed this year.
Interesting.
22%.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I was having a think about...
Has the value of the dollar changed?
Okay, so here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. What metrics do we look at? Every day on the news, they talk about what financially? They give you the report.
Interest rates.
Interest rates? Yeah. What else? In terms of currency?
Yeah, they talk about currency exchange, like the American dollar.
Yeah, so it's the American dollar.
Yeah. So that's why I was wondering, has it changed at all?
But here's the thing. If the American dollar is being devalued, but the Australian dollar is being devalued at the same rate, that figure that you see on the news every day will stay the same.
Yeah, that's right.
But if you know that they've just printed almost a quarter of all the money in circulation again,
you don't have to be by a quarter.
Yeah, but so is everything. So, what is the fix? Well, I only just looked yesterday what the gold price was. So what do you remember gold being? What was the last time you saw the gold price?
Honestly, I haven't even looked at it.
Okay, so $1,200 is what I remember it being all the time. $1,900 now.
Yeah, okay.
Now,
it is the gold standard.
It's the gold standard. Cash used to be a gold standard, then they stopped it. So, for people that aren't considering these things, I'll paint you a little bit of a picture. In Venezuela, they've got a corrupt government. Okay? They have the potential to be a massively, massively, massively rich country because they've got massive oil reserves. But a corrupt government has financially mismanaged everything. They were going through 1,000% inflation rate per week.
Wow.
Your pension payment, in 1 week, was no longer, a week's pay was not enough to buy a loaf of bread.
Oh my God.
Okay, so what could you have done? Well, if it benefit of hindsight, if you had put your week's pay in a safe storage of wealth, whether it be a different cash, like a different currency, whether it be a gold or silver or minerals, you would have parked your money at this rate, and as the valuation drops away, you're protected.
That's right. Yeah.
So now, in effect, you've got the difference between whatever the deflation rate is and what you've basically paused your money at. Okay, so you're now this much richer. Okay, we are there now. Australia is there now.
Yeah.
And you can tell the way that this is not woo. Look at the gold price. When the smart people, when they know that the shit is going down cash-wise, to move their money out of cash and put it into a safe storage of wealth. And then that's what drives the price up.
Yeah.
Now, if we are on this downward, if our dollar is becoming worth less and less and less and less and less, does it not pay as a side hustle to have something that is securing some of your wealth? I'm not saying move all... You'll have pretty big nuts to go and move all your wealth into gold.
Yeah.
Right? Especially now, gold at $1,900 is very expensive. And, when the cash, when the value of cash starts to sort of come back up again, there's kind of a miss. But it pays to hedge your bets, doesn't it? Like if you're a good stockbroker, you're not going to just pump all your money on one stock.
No.
You're going to diversify. So I suppose my tip out there is, and do your own research. It's not financial advice. It is financial advice. Diversify.
It is general advice.
It is general advice.
Yeah.
I don't have a credit license that can be taken away.
It is non-specific to your needs.
Yeah, but keep an eye on some of that stuff. Only because now it's so tumultuous. But you only have to look at what I'm going to say it. Bitcoin is the digital version of gold, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I lose everyone as soon as I mention it. But there's massive financial institutions out there now investing in it. In the last week, something like $5 billion worth of liquidity has moved into those safe harbors because they know what the world's cash is doing due to the pandemic. Now, I'm just saying, invest a little bit of time into a little bit of research, because if you've got a little bit of money that you can put into something else that isn't just cash, you will benefit from it.
Yeah.
Now, be safe,
really
don't get scammed, but that's a bigger. I'm thinking bigger. Society says no, keep the cash, put it in the bank.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the banks have just been pulped for money laundering, insider trading, like all the worst things ever, and
it's about now that Alex rolls out his new Auto Bros crypto coin. Park it in a safe place.
I have got an idea for a tokenized vehicle rental program for cities. So you don't own a car. I would use smart contracts in a phone app to basically decide how many minutes you've been in that car for, and it just pulls the money out as you go. So you don't buy a car.
Yeah.
You
buy time.
But absolutely specifically, and I think you could use the smart contract to then work out what the actual value is. Like what's it worth? Surge pricing. If you want it on Friday night, that's probably more expensive than having it Thursday lunchtime or something like that. And I reckon there's an algorithm that could sort that. So there's an example of some big thinking, but look after yourselves financially, and especially the young people. The young people have got the biggest advantage because they've got time on their side.
That's right.
I'm not talking about get rich quick stuff. I'm not interested in anything that 99.9% of it is bullshit. Right? There's 99.9% of it. If it looks too good to be true, it is.
Do you know what my favourite ones are? My favourite of the get rich quick schemes is people who hold conferences about how to get rich quick. They're my absolute favourite. You've got to pay massive dollars to come and see me so I can show you how to
how to make one of these meetings.
It's exactly right. That's all it is. It's a legit it's like putting on a performance. You're a performance actor essentially.
Oh, totally.
But you're preying on desperate people.
Totally. But I'm not saying I'm trying to help you build some security and some stability.
And I think that's really important too.
And society's not. I was talking to my parents about this yesterday, and my mum's eyes could not have rolled to the back of their head faster if I tried. But she was all for the put some in gold. She got that, and I'm like, well, Bitcoin's the same. She goes, yeah, but that's theoretical. And I'm like, yeah, but you're not going to go and buy a physical piece of gold and
that's right.
Either. So you're going to put it on the market, and if there's a market to purchase and sell, then that's as real as anything. Or just keep some cash and just watch it devalue.
Yeah.
And not even realise it. And for young people, if you don't get it, a can of Coke used in a machine, in a vending machine, used to be 50 cents.
Yeah.
In the 90s. What's it now? $4?
It's like $4.
That's an example.
Yeah.
That's what inflation is. It's our economy is designed to have roughly 2% inflation every year.
Yeah.
Which means your dollar is devaluing by 2% every year.
And the problem is that we all know that we've had a wage growth problem in this country for 10 years.
Yeah, so it's double. It's.
So the gap keeps widening.
But there are things that you can do to mitigate it.
For sure. Yeah, I think it's really good advice.
There you go.
Yeah. I think that's something that, again, young people, like you said, if I was to go back and talk to my younger self and give my younger self some advice, it would have been spend more time researching these things. Because, again, it's been 10 years now since I first started the motor trade. I know I made a lot of money. I blew a lot of money too.
Yeah.
Which, if I had that money now, then I'd probably be in a better financial position now. The other thing too, when we're talking about big thinking, nothing clouds big thinking like stress.
Yeah.
And financial stress is one of the biggest causes in this country of suicide, of marriage breakups, domestic violence. Like it's actually a really, really big problem. So if you can take any steps now to protect yourself financially, it is worth doing it for more reasons other than money.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
My biggest piece of advice for those people that are feeling that stress is have a plan. Write it down.
Yeah.
I'm certain that if you've got financial issues in your life, it's because you don't know what it's doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you will get instant clarity. And I've done this exercise with people before. Do a budget. Literally just write down for a week every dollar you spend, every dollar you make, and you'll look at it and go, oh shit.
Yeah.
It was so obvious. It was obvious at the time. And for the young people and now we said in our first episode, go back and watch the first episode. We said the first episode that when you do get your good gig, spend up at the start. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy it. But I hate the term saving. I hate saving because it's I think investing is what you want to do, not saving. Saving sucks. And especially now with everything I just said, what you're saving is actually devaluing while sitting there. So you should be doing
Speaking of savings though, and sorry to cut you off on your trail of thought, so please make sure you come back to it. But for young people too, the Barefoot Investor book has actually got some really good practical tips on not just how to save money, but how to save money on shit you just shouldn't be spending on.
Yeah.
So it's some really practical ways of avoiding things like fees, or it's actually got some really good advice in there on how to actually make your own life cheaper rather than just trying to put money in the bank.
All right, you'll put a link to that.
Yeah, Barefoot Investor, really good book.
Yeah.
Very simple stuff.
So I hate the term saving. I think investing is important, and investing is something that you can do on the side. That it's a stick on to your.
Well, here's something that and I don't know if a lot of people know this. There are countries in the world where they've gone into negative interest rates, which means if you've got your money parked in a bank, it costs you money. They pull money off you for having your money in your savings account.
Yep.
So if we're at 0.25% in this country, is there a chance that if we don't recover from this, there might be a recession coming next year?
We are in recession.
We really are now, yeah.
What is it, three quarters of negative growth?
Negative growth, yeah, which we've already had.
Surely. I think we had it last year as well, but just no one spoke about it.
So is there a chance that we could end up in that negative interest territory? Yes. And then having that money in your savings account, it is just going to devalue.
Yeah.
Very, very quickly.
There's another book that I'll post up too. So I didn't read The Barefoot Investor because when you told me about it, I was like, because I hate books that tell me to not spend shit.
No, but I think it's very valuable advice for young people who don't really know how the world works yet.
Yeah. There
was some really good stuff in there. And it's particularly about things like, one of the tips I had in there was with your banking. So going to ING, because ING was one of the first real online banks that had no fees.
Yeah.
So you could have, a traditional bank that you go to who charge you X amount of fees per year, or you could have an online bank that doesn't. Just simple stuff like that can save you a lot of money.
Yeah. The one that I'll post up is called, I forgot what it's called. I'll post at the bottom, which basically is a guy that, it's made by an Australian, for primarily Australians, because everyone's system is different. Oh, Barefoot Investor, he's Aussie too.
Yep.
Yeah. So we'll put some two down there, but mine talks about a long-term investment strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the book is $35. You can get it on his website. We'll put the link up on there. But that at a bare minimum should be your side hustle. Your side hustle should be researching investments and actually having a financial plan on the side of you at a bare minimum. I'm not saying go work in a market stall on the weekends to generate more income. I'm saying get your money to start working for you in line with what you're earning.
For sure.
Did we have a thought provoker? Well, that
Probably
was
is a thought provoker.
that was
So
a thought provoker.
what can you do today to improve your financial position for tomorrow? Which is then therefore going to improve, your happiness, less stress.
Yep. You can think bigger for future
free
plans.
yourself up for free thought. Because if you don't know when your next meal's coming from, you're not going to be thinking big. You're just going to be thinking about what's the next thing. So, but I guess just to summarise, think big, but also when you're having your plan, so you take your big idea and then you break it down into the smallest possible steps, so you can tick those steps off, as you go. Because thinking big is one thing. It can be really daunting if you think you have to go from here to here in one step.
Yep.
So break it down. Make it easy, achievable things that you can do just to tick them off.
And I'll tell you, once you've thought big and you've planned for it, the idea ain't that big anymore.
Yeah, that's right. Then it seems really simple.
And obvious.
Yeah. Cool.
Thank you very
All
much.
right, guys. Thanks very much for joining us. We'll see you next RDO.